What about, let's throw it out there. Shannon and I did some of our overrated picks a few weeks ago, but I obviously haven't had a chance to ask you, Big G. Is there a player in this draft, and it doesn't have to be that, like, you think he's just terrible overall, but that he's just being drafted, like his draft grade's just way higher, and Shannon, I'll give you another stab at it as well. Do you have a prospect in this draft that people just have an unrealistically high draft grade on?
Well, he's dropped on draft boards because what he did, but I never liked him from the beginning, was Devontae Sweat, the defensive tackle out of Texas University. I never thought that Sweat was a fit for any NFL team. He's an outdated position. I mean, he's a nose tackle.
Yeah,
he's not a three down. He's not a 3-down guy. He can't, he's ballooned up to 360 something pounds. He's got in trouble with a DUI. I think he's going to have a short-lived career in the NFL, but some teams are still going to have him high, maybe in the second, maybe late first, even in the second. And I wouldn't give it up. He'd be fourth at best. He'd have to prove to me that he's willing to work to get himself in shape, hire a personal trainer, and motivate himself to play in the league for years and years. Does he have the athletic ability? Yeah. He was the defensive tackle, defensive line player in the year in college football. But what he's shown me after the college end, he hasn't worked to continue to get the trajectory to go to the next level. So I don't like Sweat at all. I hope the Steelers stay as far away from him as they possibly can, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do like him on day 3, but I agree with you. Like, one of the draft dudes said it. Kyle Krabs said it, who does Locked On Dolphins. He goes, you only have to do 2 things after you finish your college football career between the college and the NFL. You got to test well, and he couldn't weigh in at the Senior Bowl, but he did weigh in at 266 under the 380, the 366 under 380 than what they thought. But still, but people were hoping to be 340, because then we'd be talking about a Jordan Davis type pick, right? But you got to test well. That's the next thing. Don't get into trouble, particularly after Rashid Rice. I know there's another bloke that got into it. And then you get done. You're the last guy in that core list. You just show how immature you are to other teams. So, yeah, I think he's cost himself a 6-figure sum at least, right? And maybe a 7-figure sum.
Oh, every bit. Yeah.
Absolutely.
How about you, Shannon?
Well, everybody knows that I think this quarterback class, some of them are overrated. None of them, I think, are overrated more than Caleb Williams. I'll leave it at that. I already
You said that last time.
I know. I give that. I'm just saying. I still feel that way. People love size, and the huge, gigantic guys. But Sweat is not Jordan Davis, and Jordan Davis hasn't lit the league on fire either. But he is a very effective player. I'd take Davis over Sweat any day. They love speed, so Xavier Worthy is going to get overdrafted. Now, he is a solid second-round grade, in my opinion. I think he's a player. I think he can be good. But somebody's going to reach and take him. If Al Davis, he might come back from the grave to take him. Because Al Davis loves these fast guys.
Yeah, yeah.
And something else that's overrated is a guy like Milton with a huge arm. Now, if Al Davis, again, was alive, he would take Worthy first and Milton in the second round. Because that was Al Davis took Jamarcus Russell because he could throw the ball through the goalpost from his knees from the 60. I mean, that means nothing. But Al Davis just loved the circus freaks. I don't know what it was. But in my opinion, I keep hearing about these guys and you know how great they are. And I'm concerned about, I'll say his last name wrong. Xavier Legette, or is it Legette?
Xavier Legette, wide receiver, South Carolina.
Legette, yes. My problem with him is same as with Jackson Powers Johnson and with some of these other guys. It's a 1-year thing. And he is very he's quick. I mean, he's fast, but he's not necessarily quick. And he's very bulky. And I'm worried about him gaining separation in the NFL. Remember James Washington?
Interesting, though, because I have.
Remember James Washington? The guy could not gain separation, and he never panned out. And he had a huge career at Oklahoma State. I just think that he got a quarterback. He had a big year. I don't want to take it away from him, but I'm concerned. I would take Keon Coleman any day over him.
Yeah, I was going to say, because they're similar.
But they're both, neither one's going to be able to get great separation. Not by quickness.
I was gonna say like McMillan because I think Polk is a much better wide receiver, but the last week or two, I think it's shifted. I think people get that Polk is a start of day 2 pick. Like, and I say this: if the Steelers go center or tackle in the first round, and they don't have as high a grade on one of the cornerbacks on the board, and they picked Polk, I mean, you're getting like a similar version of a Pickens, but is probably a better route runner at this point. And you pick those two guys catching balls off Fields and Wilson. I don't care if it's that Arthur Smith offense or not. That's going to be fun, man. And that's going to give a defensive coordinator on the other team a headache. So, like, as I said, like, I'm kind of coming it backward by criticizing McMillan. But, like, Polk is one guy that I don't think people are talking about with the Steelers. But he fits the bill of what Steelers like in a wide receiver, like a guy who can do everything and do it well and make catches that other guys can't make, right? And that's what's needed in the cold, in the AFC North, and the tight defenses they play against. So, yeah, but anyway, my guy there is McMillan. I've annihilated Jackson Powers Johnson enough in this draft process. Yeah. I'll leave him be.
Yeah. He's not high on my board either. I think I saw he was like the 51st or 52nd ranked player on the top 150 for the ESPN, and I wouldn't go first round. If the Steelers draft him at 20, they reached.
Well, so Daniel Jeremiah's final 150, he's 34. Frazier's 37, right? Jackson Powers Johnson is one of the most penalized centers last year in college football. People talk about Barton at center. Barton has played half the snaps that JPJ has played at center. JPJ's not even played 1,000 snaps at center. And Shannon's talked at length about the issues with his body type. He's not a clean snapper of the football. How are people talking about this guy as a top 20 pick? Well, I don't know. It's fantasy land.
I got one other guy too, man. If I can mention him, and I've heard him linked to the Steelers, right? I think he's a reach. You guys know we've been watching draft. At least I've been doing it forever. It seems like as far as draft and evaluation, that there's always a run at position that forces other guys up into a round or higher in a round where they actually got
Artie Burns.
Yeah, big. Oh my god, big trash. Artie Burns, horrible. Right, so I think, I mean, super reach, big.
That's a Beanie Bishop reach. Who's the guy out of Ferris State? You said that guy. The joke one.
Shawn Stevens.
That's a Shawn Stevens.
That's a Shawn Stevens.
Yeah, Shawn Stevens. So, I think that Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle, Oklahoma. I hope the Steelers don't do it because they feel like we have to get our tackle in the first round.
Yeah,
Tyler Guyton is not, and if he's a project at best. He would, if he starts for the Steelers, it might be next year. Maybe at the end of the year because he's forced into action. But he's a project. But I've seen where teams will reach for Tyler Guyton somewhere between that 21 and 24. Well, guess where we're at? We're at 20, and I'm like, nah, stay away from Tyler Guyton, man. He's not an offensive tackle that fits our scheme, and I don't think he'll work at all at Pittsburgh.
No first-round projects.
Like, remember I said, Shannon, we did a show back when I was with Steel Curtain Network in the year, 2 years ago now, that Cole Strange was drafted. And I was a big Cole Strange guy, but I'm like Cole Strange back end of the second, early in the third.
Yeah.
Not in the first round.
Yeah, the Patriots.
How's that going for him? Like, not very good. Right? He needed to be a guy that sat for half a year and figured it out. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's the issue with exactly what you hit the nail on the head with BG is Guyton. And like, he doesn't compare well to a lot of other guys like your Patrick Pauls, like your Jordan Morgans that like aren't necessarily ready to start either, but they're a little bit more ready than Tyler Guyton. Like, I completely agree with you. It's funny. It's like there's depth at the position, but then there's that FOMO, there's that fear of missing out that teams are gonna have, right? So
yeah. Well, I look at upsides. I always look at upsides and I look like comparables, right? Tyler Guyton looks like a guy he could be out of the league in 3 years. I mean, he that's how he looks to me. He could be out of the league in the NFL in 3 years because I don't know if his body's going to be able to level up like how it needs to. And I just don't think he's got the feet. He doesn't. His arms are smaller too. His reach is not all like that either. So I don't want, like Shannon said, I don't want no project guys, man. I want guys that basically we can almost plug and play from day one.
I
went on
wrote in a comment today about Gayden.
Mm.
Watched him multiple times because played against West Virginia multiple times. And he never stood out to me in any game. Now, I was focused on other guys, but if he's that great, I should have noticed him. And to me, watching him, he's got the Chukes problem.
Yep.
As he's got all this talent and this, but he's so passive, and he isn't dominant. He don't stand out. So no projects in the first.
You'll be shouting "sick him" with the megaphone from the sideline. That's it.
Big fact.
But with that, I think we might wrap it up. But like a massive thank you to Shannon doing it out of cycle. Massive thank you to Big G for joining us, and being part of this. And you guys recorded this very late your time as well. So I just appreciate being able to talk Steelers with you guys. It's been epic. I absolutely love it. For listeners out there, we will be doing a live stream all through day 3 of the draft. We will be doing a live stream on day 2. That might be with Monkey D. On day 1, we will do a pre-show. Shannon and I will be on that. Big G was invited to that one as well. Email invite coming to you, Big G. I will do a reaction video to the pick, and then we'll be doing live on this channel after that first round pick with a couple of guests. A couple of them might be on with me right now. But that's what we're going to do across the 3 days. Plus, there's going to be a little bit more. There's a couple more shows to come between now and the draft as well. But it's a big 48 hours leading the draft. It's all the hype. It's almost here. And then in like the next 4 or 5 days, we're going to have a bunch of new Steelers players to go dissect and try and fit in, and what are they going to do and how good do they look. I will say this, though, out there, Steelers fans. Everyone's going to be really happy with some of the picks. And then some of us are going to be really disappointed or critical of some of the picks. But we've got to trust the process, because we're all really critical the first few days, like we are every year of free agency. And look at the free agency period the Steelers had, right? So
A+.
I think that the mindset I'm going into this draft process is like, I trust Omar Khan that there's method in the madness. Right? So let's just see what he produces at the end of the day. But I'd just like to say again, a massive thank you to Shannon and Big G for making this podcast and doing it an hour and 15 minutes, covering such depth in all the prospects. I can't wait to continue talking Steelers and draft with you guys.
Thanks again, man. I really appreciate it. And thanks again for the opportunity, man. You know, it's late, but man, I'm on air in Australia, man. I'm doing the thing from Sydney. So Sydney gets a taste of Big G. So I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it for sure. Bro.
And for you guys, obviously Shannon, you can find Shannon on us for Still Global's Perspective. You can find him on the Hangover on Still Go Network. You can find his articles on Fan First Sports. You can find him on Pump Your Brakes. He does with Big G. Big G does Pump Your Brakes. He does the Homies. He does this as a Homies Encore or Extra Time. I always get it mixed up.
It's called Homies Overtime. It's on Steel Curtain Network. Hey, can I tell the listeners about a show that I got that I want them to check out?
Yeah, go for it. Pump your stuff. I don't care on this channel. It's all goodness.
So how I got in the podcast game was, man, a while back, me and my brother and a close friend of mine started this show called the Know It Alls Podcast. It's spelled KNO capital ITALLZ podcast. It is on Chilltown Network and Chilltown Productions from a video standpoint, but you can go to YouTube. We are live every Sunday at 6:00. Please come and check us out. And if you like what you saw here out of me, the shenanigans begin over there on the Know It Alls podcast. So that got me spread out to all these other different things that I'm doing. And I'm always going to give a rep about home base. So, man, please check me out on the Know It Alls podcast every week, Sundays at 6 p.m.
I've listened to it before. Absolutely good stuff. You guys all have to listen to it too. So with that, we're going to wrap it up. As always, go Steelers.